Hi, so this is a video lesson on beginner to intermediate left hand exercises. And for examples, I'm using exercise number 2 and exercise number 3 from 20 Favorite Exercises, which you can get off of thisisclassicalguitar.com. And you can find a link in the About section of YouTube, or you can go to the website. So number 2 is on the left hand position, and it's called a vertical builder. It's a very common exercise, which pretty much just goes like this. You take your first finger and go to the 5th position, meaning the first finger at the 5th fret. And then making sure that your fingers are curved like this, curved at each joint, and that your knuckles are parallel with the fingerboard. So not like this, not like this, but just parallel. That means that this finger will come in at a small angle, and so will this finger here come in at an angle, and then these two fingers come in pretty straight on. Just remember as well that you want to be right close to the fret, as close to the fret as possible. The closer you are to the fret, the less pressure you have to use, and the less of a chance there will be of it buzzing. So just remember to have good curvature in those fingers. And then one at a time. Starting out the exercise, you can just do one finger at a time, not leave any down. So that's exercise number 2. Now just a couple of tips for that. One great way to check your technique is to, when you put your finger down, you can play the open string above it. So if I'm playing the 3rd string, you can play the open string on the 2nd string. And if you're using bad technique, you'll accidentally mute it out. So it's a good way to double check your technique. And then when you go to a new string, such as the 2nd string, you would play the 1st string open afterwards. And let them both ring so that you can tell if you're accidentally muting. You can go through all of them like that. Once you're a little bit more comfortable with that and your hand is relaxed, then you could also leave your fingers down as you play the exercise. Including the 4th finger when you cross over, because that way it'll connect that sound to this sound. So you can leave your fingers down. Just use very small movements. Keep your fingers really close to the strings. Doesn't matter what level you are at, you can always refine this process, so you should continue to work on it no matter what level you're at. Okay, so the only other thing I can think of for this exercise would be that you want to keep your thumb in a similar place to your finger at all times. So for me, that's my 2nd finger. It's usually behind my 2nd finger, and the thumb is just a reference point for that. So if my thumb is in a specific place, when I move my 1st finger, it should come down at that fret, and my 2nd finger should come down there, 3rd and 4th. And because I always have my thumb in the same place in relationship to that finger, those fingers will usually always hit their frets, the frets that I'm hoping they will. And like I said, the only other thing I can think of is that as you play from one finger to another, release the pressure from this finger. Now, if you're doing one finger at a time, that's easy because you can just take your finger off. But if you're leaving all your fingers down, make sure you release the pressure from here. Sometimes with students I can tell because their fingernails will go white when they're pushing hard and then return to color when they're not pushing hard. Yep. For some students, if you're having problems, like if you're locking this finger, which is very common, my recommendation is get this knuckle and your palm really close to the guitar, because that'll force you to curve each of the joints in your hand there. Some people can just say, like, get your hand up to there for the lower strings, then really curve those fingers. And then as you move down, you can increase the distance there. Essentially though, you just want this nice cupped hand position. If you haven't watched my other videos on left hand position and whatnot, you should check those out. But essentially a nice cupped hand position, very natural. And then that's exercise number 2, that's a vertical builder. Now exercise number 3 is a horizontal builder. So it's the same concept. It's the same concept of 1 finger per fret with the thumb as a reference point. And then once you're done that pattern, 1, 4, 3, 4, 2, 4, you're going to shift up 1 fret and do it again. Keep in mind that your thumb needs to shift with your hand. So essentially, you keep this perfect hand position and the arm will move the hand around the guitar. But the thumb will remain in the same place in relationship to the fingers because you want that other reference point. So your arm is just going to move that hand around. Don't do what many people do, is when they shift up, their thumb starts to drag behind. It would look kind of like thumb dragging behind. So thumb would be dragging behind. Don't do that. Keep your thumb in the same place in relationship to your fingers. Continue to stay close to the frets. Keep in mind that this finger comes in at an angle and so does this one. And you can try that on all the different strings, of course. If you want to double check your technique again, you could easily throw in the open string above. So 3rd string, 1st finger, and then 2nd open string. If you're using bad technique, you'll accidentally mute out that 2nd string. Prettiest sound, but it gets the job done. It's a good reminder, especially if you don't have a teacher, or if your lessons, or if you're on summer vacation or something from lessons. It's just a good reminder through the week to stay on those fingertips and not interfere with the string below. So on that exercise number 3, the horizontal builder, you also want to go downward. So on the downward pattern is 4, 1, 4, 3, 4, 2, and then you shift down 4, 1, 4, 3, 4, 2, 4, 1, 4, 3, 4, 2. And again, you just track that thumb along with the fingers. And you just want your fingers to get used to the span between each fret. It's kind of tough, but that's the basic idea. So let's just review the basic hand position that you want. So you want a natural cupped hand position, which is just like a relaxed hand. And then the thumb is going to stay in the same place in relationship to the finger. So your arm is just going to move it around. And no matter which exercise you're doing, or you want to be close to the frets. So not like this, but close to the frets. Some of the fingers come in at an angle. You want your knuckles parallel with the strings. And you just want to avoid any of this kind of stuff. Never collapsing knuckles, ever. Never collapsing knuckles. And if you do the open string exercise that I was talking about, you can't collapse knuckles because you'll mute that string out. So I have a couple of other videos and pictures with diagrams on the website about left-hand technique. So you can just go to the website, thisisclassicalguitar.com, and go to lessons. And you can see all those lessons on left-hand technique. And then these are just 2 exercises for the left hand to secure that technique. One vertical. And the other one horizontal. And then the auxiliary exercise of checking it with the open string, which is really great for students. Or just remember that in terms of like left hand technique exercises, you want to make sure that you're always doing a progressive lesson plan, right? So in my book, for example, each lesson is progressive. You don't want to go on to the next one until you've completed this one. So once you feel you can maintain the hand position on both of these exercises, and be hard on yourself as far as maintaining that hand position, then when you move on to the next exercises, you have to just say, I'm going to retain all of this good stuff I learned here, and when you move into the next exercises, which might be slurs or whatever the next left hand ones are, but you have to maintain all the same technique that you learned in these exercises. And then that's how you progress. A lot of people just move on to new exercise, but they don't retain enough from the previous exercise, and then they essentially don't progress very well. They just forget the previous material and work on the new material. So I hope you enjoyed the lesson, and I'll be doing more videos for each of the lessons in the book, updated videos because I previously did other ones. And so you can see those on thisisclassicalguitar.com. Thanks very much.